Hello and welcome to this fifth episode of the Goal Hour podcast. It's been a while. We've been busy with obviously the most important league in the world, the United Soccer League's edition of Division 4 soccer in the United States, the USL League 2. Along with that, I kind of strained my voice while doing those games for it's been now 4 or 5 days now. But at the time of recording, we've pretty late on a couple things. We're going to catch up with that just so that we're on a present day basis. And with that, regular season ended. All the big five leagues have all of their basically rummaging set up. Which teams are coming up, which teams going down, which teams qualified, which teams failed to qualify for European competition at all. We've got all of that in store here on this edition of the Goal Hour, and we'll switch things right to the Premier League.
The Premier League. So, we saw Man City clinch the title months ago already. But let's just get started on it. Let's see. United were second, and they were how many points behind?
12 points behind, but United suck anyway, so.
I hate United, but why did they do the best? Or the second best is my question.
Well, unlike Leicester, they were able to keep winning, finding ways to win. And you can say a team's a really good team, but if they don't win when it matters most, like Leicester has not in the past 2 seasons, and obviously they dropped down. So, it's a solid finish for them. The surprise was, of course, Liverpool slipping in from a point where they were at nearly 10th place, I want to say, at one point. And now they got to 3rd place, kind of snuck in there. Chelsea, of course, clinching that last spot over Leicester City. So if you're Brendan Rodgers, it's disappointing because of where you had the ability to get to. Along with that, West Ham is right behind them, and they are probably elated to get that 6th spot ahead of Tottenham Hotspur. Sneaking into that Europa League draw, you're going to see Mark Noble in European competitions, or at least what we consider as elite, because we haven't seen a taste of what the Europa Conference League is, and that's what Spurs are calling it now.
You'll have, let's just talk about the other side of the table. The Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield all going down, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. They're all right teams. They're not bad teams.
Yeah, I like Sheffield just because of their overlapping center back tactics, but Fulham, I respected the guy for Scott Parker, so
yeah.
I think he's getting a job for Bournemouth. It looks like they said they're trying to sign him to keep him up. Obviously, failed the first time here with Fulham. See if he can do the same. Coming up from that, are teams we've seen that were in the Premier League recently, so it's kind of like a Nick for Knack swap. I said Bournemouth. It's Norwich obviously winning the title, and then.
Well, Bournemouth aren't going up, unfortunately.
It's not Bournemouth, so Big Jeff's still in the championship.
It's Brentford, Watford, and Norwich, I believe.
Interesting.
As it was nearly the same three. It was nearly the same 3 that got promoted, or that got relegated last season, getting promoted this season. Well, that got relegated 2 seasons ago, getting promoted this season.
Yeah.
Or last season. But unfortunately, we can't see that. But we will see Norwich and Watford back in the Prem, which is exciting. Hopefully Norwich can stay up. And I suspect, I might be wrong, I'm probably wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that this season with the Premier League, you're going to see a better lower half of the table. The lower half of the table are going to be better, and the teams that are getting relegated will still be pretty bad, meaning I guess you'll see a bigger difference between the Premier League and the Championship.
Yeah.
Sorry about the lighting.
Yeah,
oh well.
I'm going to go turn on a light, I guess. I can dim them halfway.
Yeah, my prediction is the Premier League kind of rises just altogether. As you know, the gap between the worst teams in the league and the best teams in the league are minimal in comparison to the rest of the leagues in the world, I'd say. So That's something that I'm excited to see.
There we go.
Because I do see like Brighton, Burnley, they have good coaches who use good strategies.
Yeah.
And same with Watford and Norwich. Yeah. I guess hopefully their boards will have faith in them.
Yeah, we'll see. And then Leeds, of course, doing bits, basically solidifying themselves as a team and to be reckoned with in the Premier League. I mean, nearly better than Arsenal, getting 2 points below. They could have challenged for the Conference League.
Yeah.
3 points behind Tottenham. So that's, amazing to see, like, at least Leeds and then Everton getting in there as well. Obviously, the loss of Don Carlo Ancelotti really hurts them. But when you think about Don Carlo moving to Spain, back to Real Madrid, for them it was disappointing to not finish with a title as they've done in years past. Of course, Zidane stepping down. And another team in Madrid does take the title. That was, of course, Atletico Madrid with Cholo Simeone, basically.
Yeah, but only...
It was very tough for him to secure that. I thought maybe they could have let it slip. 2
points. I mean, you told me back in January that Atletico Madrid might not win the title off 2 points. I'd be like, what happened? Did they get like a super horrible injury? Did they just stop playing well? And I guess that's kind of what happened. Just they lost consistency.
Yeah.
Middle of the season.
They were still actually able to like eke out some results at the end. Like, obviously Atletico's way is to win by a goal or just sit on it. And, like, they would have Suarez like trying to get a last minute goal against Alaves, like in 17th place or something like that. So, I mean, good for them because it's nice to see a little bit of diversity in different leagues. Switches it up from like the classic Barcelona and Real Madrid, and deservedly so because those teams definitely weren't necessarily worthy of winning in the sense that they're mainstays that have so much more financial power and just presence in the area that they should be the ones that are being chased, not Atletico. So it's a valiant effort from them. Of course, they're playing Champions League football. Villarreal qualified after winning the Europa League, so I don't really know what that does with the fourth place team.
I think they're 5.
Still guarantees Sevilla.
I think so.
All right. So now they have 5 Spanish teams, and that's similar to, of course, looking at
the Prem only has 4. I think the Prem only has 4
because so they won't let another team in for the Prem.
They won't let another team unless Man City ended in the or unless Chelsea were like 5th or 6th. I think then they would have given it to all 5, but I'm not sure. No, but it seems kind of disappointing for a lot of the sides in La Liga. Like, a lot of people expected Valencia to have a better season, but due to financial struggle and such, they ended in 13th, which isn't the worst, but it's not top 10.
Yeah, they were basically like trying to get away from relegation at one point, and they've had a lot of financial issues with their owners. Obviously, if you're maybe a bit of a football hipster and have watched HITC 7s on YouTube, they've been trying to build a stadium for a good 19 years now. Like, they have the Mestalla Stadium, they're trying to build the new Mestalla, and they're about like 2/3 of the way done, but it's been a really long haul, and obviously you need money. You look at the Spurs side that obviously is in a better position financially, but what that investment does to you, like, especially with the impact of COVID as well, and I feel like in Valencia and Spain, where not only their economy is ridden and their job market sucks with hurts consumerism in Spain in general, but the team also is not as solidified. If you don't make top 4 in Spain, you're not really getting anywhere else with other funds unless you're like very sustainable, like a Leicester or Villarreal. So
that's why the Premier League has so much more money to spend on players and such, is because they have everyone in the world is watching them, so they have more. They just get more TV money.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, Spurs are still like they have a lot of debt, that's going to be a big problem with these bigger clubs. Is they're taking on a lot of debt due to COVID because a lot of their money comes from gate receptions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be big. But if we were to another team that's struggling right now, a big team is Juventus. They barely clinched a top 4 spot to qualify for the Champions League. But I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it.
I was kind of hoping for them not to qualify,
Same.
just so they could like gut the whole thing and rebuild and really trying to like find their identity. Because when you think of Juventus, you go back to the ages of even Conte with their super team and that Czech guy, I forgot his name, like the blonde hair. I think it's like Pavchenko or something like that. He works for like UEFA now, but when you think back to their golden ages where they still couldn't get a trophy, and then even like when they got relegated from Serie A for like financial penalties, they've never been a team that's been like, wow, I know how Juventus plays. I know how they've always been able to play. Now they've just run through Sarri, they run through Conte earlier days. Obviously Allegri, I think he's been there, and I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know what exactly they're doing with their managerial stuff, because obviously they sacked Pirlo. But definitely just a lost team. I mean, they're lucky to even get in fourth place, which is a big statement considering they were able to still hold the title only last season. But I mean, if you look on the front of other teams getting in and kind of finding their way in the Serie A, I think it's a good thing for Italian football and things in general in the league when you have challengers come into the scene that has been pretty desolate. When you look at Juventus's title charge, that's been like 8 or 9 straight, I want to say. Atalanta finished in third. Yeah.
Off 1 point away from Milan.
And then obviously, like Juventus was pushing. They did tie with Atalanta on points. But then you keep going down the list, and Napoli was in 5th, 1 point out. Lazio kind of fell off. That was their fault in the end to try to get to Champions League. And Roma, of course, building with Jose Mourinho, could be in for a conference bout against his old side. But Roma was a team that's kind of in that bubble of the Europa League and Champions League. Obviously now they can look to push back up. But those are like 7 key teams now, obviously with the introduction of Atalanta in recent years, that have been really able to change the scene of Italian football. Sassuolo, only recently promoted a few years ago, in 8th place. So they definitely have a lot of new teams that are coming in, making it more competitive, and I find it very entertaining. Obviously, others prefer to watch the Prem or even just like Farmers League games, but that's for one to decide. And if we think of one thing real quickly, I mean, Parma getting relegated, last team in the league. And Gigi Buffon's going back there to play in the Serie B, so that's an interesting thing to look at. And when we talk about teams on this podcast, we have a lot of obscure teams that we can remember in recent history that have been tremendous organizations. So we think of Parma, and we also think of Palermo till we die. So obviously tough bouts for both sides, but I'm sure like at least one of them can recover. And Palermo obviously went through a rebrand, probably looking to get back on the up and up again. But we really got Germany. Yeah, we got only 2 more of the big 5 leagues, and then we'll move on to some of our picks that we kind of move into, such as Portugal, among others. It's probably one of the quicker episodes as we're trying to cover our bases from the past, as the leagues ended probably a little over a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you said the Bundesliga. I think Dortmund barely snuck into the Champions League again when we were talking maybe 2 months ago. It looked as if they were really struggling because I think they were in 6th place at the time, and obviously now they're sure-minded back in the league. But a little bit different, which is a nice look, I guess, a nice nod to them, is Wolfsburg getting into that 4th spot. You think of the days of Kevin De Bruyne.
Honestly,
that's the last time I think of Wolfsburg actually like being competitive in that position.
I would have preferred Frankfurt, but I think they bottled it because they had the top goal scorer. I forgot, or one of the top goal scorers. Forgot what his name was, but he was really good. I mean, obviously
he was one of their big 3 with Luka Jovic and Ante Rebic, but I also do not remember his name.
Yeah, so that's sad for them. But I think they could next year really build on this season, or learn from this season. I guess would be a better way to put it.
No, yeah, they were one of the teams I really enjoyed watching too, and like I guess they're similar to a Leicester bubble team, which they've always been in the Bundesliga for the most part, but now more so they've been able to really scout out these great talents, and obviously that boost of funds from getting Jovic and then getting him loaned back is kind of interesting as well. But definitely underwhelming in the end when you get to that position, but it's nice to see a little bit of a fresh look because other than that, it's pretty much unchanged for the Champions League, with of course Bayern clinching um, their championship title, Leipzig finishing in second, not even close.
Surprising thing. The
Mm-hmm.
surprising thing for me is Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, that's also true.
They did not get Europe at all, with Berlin just beating them for Conference League by 1 point.
Yeah, I think we talked about like different teams with different finishes, like helping leagues, and I think that's actually really good for Union Berlin, being one of those East German sides that's been built out of nothing, out of the rubble of the fall of the split between all the German teams, and obviously um, with a lot of financial power is kind of sided to the West from that post-war fallout. If you look at all the Bundesliga teams, most of the more prominent ones in West Germany, and when you think of like Dortmund and Westfalenstadion, among others, literally kind of like the region and the name of their stadium as a nickname. And
Yeah.
obviously another West German power.
Also, Köln. I just wanted to say Köln just beat I forgot what team to save themselves from relegation. With the relegation playoff, which I wouldn't say I'm impartial to, but I like it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I remember the days when they were like finishing in seventh, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good for them.
Yeah.
But now they obviously on the brink of relegation. That's great for them. But just hopping quickly back to Borussia Mönchengladbach, I think an interesting complex about it. Their team was basically unchanged, which is the weird thing to look at. Obviously, they had Jan Sommer, the Swiss international, in goal, who's been fantastic for a while now, really under the radar. But their coach, Marco Rosa, who came out of the Leipzig system, the Red Bull system, with when you think of that ownership group that is the New York Red Bulls, Leipzig, and RB Salzburg,
And
he accepted, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Red Bull Brazil. Where are they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just in Brazil. That's all I know.
Yeah. But Marco Rosa, which was a really weird move. I didn't get it at all when they were in the quarterfinals. I want to say quarters or 16s.
Round of 16, I think.
When they were playing Man City and they actually had like a chance, he accepted the Dortmund job, basically in January. And the league's still up for grabs. I feel like that kind of killed the team, even though they were going to lose to Man City anyways. But you can see how they fell all the way back to 8th. Like, what's the point of playing for a guy that you know is out the door? Like, the respect that you had is gone in that sense. So, I mean, that's definitely tough to look at for the Mönchengladbach side, but it's understandable because now they have to lead the charge with another head coach, and Marco Rosa, of course, is going to Dortmund to look to even build on bigger things because Nigel forgot their coach's name, the Swiss guy. Lucien Favre was obviously sacked, and they had an interim guy come in. Didn't do great, but they got the job done anyways. So a lot of different things in the Bundesliga. Even more so in the League One, or Liga Uber Eats, as they say.
Yo, this is the most competitive league ever. Liga's a farmers league. No.
Yeah.
No. Who was it? Lille?
Yeah, Tim Weah.
Tim Weah.
But I think a bigger storyline is Mike Magnan, who goes to AC Milan after finishing second, and Donnarumma out the door to PSG. That guy, fantastic in goal to help them, and obviously Turkish international Burak Yilmaz also leading the charge up front. A lot of weird figures that kind of found a resurgence at that club.
And you have young players coming up too. Sorry to interrupt you. They have American Timothy Weah, already mentioned,
Yep.
and they have what's his name? The Canadian. I can't remember his name. The Canadian international, John David, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know him. Yeah.
Um, both doing pretty well. I think Lil have a bright future.
I think the craziest thing watching that title run was, I want to say about 8 games out, it was basically PSG breathing down their necks, and their only way to win was to win every single game because PSG obviously basically had guaranteed wins in some of these French league fixtures, and they were able to do it even if they were going. There were some games where it got a little bit iffy. I think they got to like one time against a 17th place team and they got like a red. They had to like kind of hold a 2-1 victory. Things like that. They were really basically bringing out those 1-goal wins, and they were able to hold on to it. Was more impressive for the team that's kind of learning as they go, having never done that before, like with that core group that's really not that much of it. So, I mean, it's really impressive from the Lille side. And for PSG, obviously, if you're Pochettino, it's not the result you want, I guess, because the main job you were brought in, look at Tuchel switching sides to Chelsea, winning the Champions League. Tuchel was sacked because he didn't win a Champions League. Poch was brought in to win a Champions League, doesn't do so, then doesn't even win the guaranteed league, which is what they have based on their financial position. So, I mean, tough look. I think he'll get another year, though. I mean,
yeah, to be fair, Pochettino was starting in fourth place with a PSG team that wasn't as confident as they usually are.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Yes, Poch, everyone expected him to do better, but he didn't. I don't think it's the end of the world for PSG. I just think they're going to be severely disappointed.
Yeah.
And I think they know that they can't sack him at this point because it'd just be a waste.
Yeah. But looking down the table, what's really cool to see Monaco getting in third place. They were also close. Basically, this French league, this top four was really close, then it just dropped off from there. Lyon in 76, 2 points behind Monaco for that last Champions League spot.
I think is it 4 Champions League spots?
Yes.
I thought it was 3.
I believe so.
It might be 3. It might
could
be
be
4,
3 to be honest. But aside from that, even if Lyon is not in the Champions League,
it's 3.
So Lyon isn't in the Champions League. I mean, that's why obviously Depay is able to force a move. It looks as if he's rumored to go to Barcelona. So that'll be kind of a downturn for them, unfortunately, as one of the old powerhouse clubs in France. But, yeah, looking down the rest of the table, it just really drops off in general. I mean, a lot of those teams that are kind of French teams that are able to just hold their place in the league. So,
I mean, you have Marseille and Lyon are all right teams, and they're playing in the Europa League. So
yeah.
I think they might actually have a chance in the Europa League.
But I'd say the best thing about looking at the upper half, that they were able to finally challenge PSG and make it competitive, regardless of like the mid-table and the lower parts of the table. The fact that they were able to get up there is really impressive, and it does help the league's growth in the future to get people to tune in instead of expecting a PSG win.
I'd say the difference with, for example, Ligue versus the Premier League is I was saying the Premier League is the bottom of the table and the top of the table are very close skill-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue that Ligue 1, out of all 5 of the big leagues, Ligue 1 is probably the furthest. The bottom of the table and the top of the table are furthest from each other. But another league that is very far from each other, the top and the bottom, is the Portuguese league, Liga Nos. I'm just going to touch on that really quickly.
Yeah.
Sporting just won, not just won, but they won the league off 5 points, with Porto are trailing behind 10 points. It's 10 points behind at 1 point.
I'm assuming Benfica was close in it.
Benfica they had 76 points, which is 9 points behind Sporting. I think Sporting just they got a lot of money from the transfer for Bruno Fernandes, and I think they used like that money to. I think they replaced him with some kid who played a lot like him, but was also very good. So they were smart with it. They were smart with their transfers, and it really shows.
Yeah.
They finally won a title after however many years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting for Sporting's future. But Porto I think they'll still try and build off or learn from the second place as they won the title the season before. But I think that's going to be very competitive between those three teams.
Yeah.
Maybe Benfica a little less. But even then, you see the top three they have 85 points, 80 points, 76 points. And then you go to Braga in fourth, and they have 64 points.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, this league only has 18 teams, but still.
No, it's not that much of a difference, to be honest.
Yeah. And you have the fifth and sixth place teams, which are going to go to Europa Conference. Which is, you're going to start seeing more teams going to Europa Conference after the Big Five. Which is a big difference, which I kind of like about the Europa Conference. And I'm saying this because I'm a Spurs fan. You're going to have a lot more teams playing in the conference, playing in the conference qualifiers from smaller leagues, which will, I'd say, help like bolster these smaller leagues up to compete with the Big Five.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at that, it's the great thing to watch is Portuguese football in the spotlight as one of the great development leagues. And obviously Porto got to the quarterfinals. I think they deserve to do more even as underdogs. I mean, it's unfortunate that I believe they ran about against Man City.
Mm-mm.
But,
Chelsea.
Yeah. Chelsea. We were rooting for them. We wanted them we knew they were going to beat Juventus. We were big on that.
Yeah, but they beat Juventus in the second part. Like, they barely beat them. I was surprised. But Sergio Oliveira is class for that team, and I think they need to probably play more youngsters so that they can get to that same level as Sergio, because right now they're kind of relying on him too much.
Yeah, he's also featuring in the Euros. Obviously, he's not a mainstay, so I don't know if it helps his stock that much as far as any sort of transfer value, considering the most astronomical things we've seen obviously would be Ronaldo and then Bruno Fernandes. So, like, we'll see what happens with that in the future. But, you have anything else, any other leagues to talk about? Obviously, there's plenty more, but we usually touch on our Big Five, and then Portugal is one of those great underrated European leagues.
That's about it, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much our regular season roundup. Sorry we got to it late. Obviously, we had a few complications that we mentioned earlier. But definitely getting into a lot of things here as we get into the summertime, pretty much, as we see a lot of international football pretty much running its rounds, whether people saying it's coming home or it's the Nations League, among other things. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have things to cover with that in the future, and obviously maybe we'll plug our USL League 2 games. Depending on how good our team plays, we'll tell you to tune into our final match day if we are in playoff contention. But obviously you can check out all of the different stuff on our social media links. That'll be pretty much linked on our profiles when you click on any of our social posts. But with that being said, thanks for tuning into episode 5 of the Goal Hour. We'll pretty much catch you next time, and it'll be the end of the regular season. We won't be talking about it for a while until our next season. But get right into international football. It's exciting, folks. Thanks so much.
See ya. Ciao.